What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks. My name is Charlie Sardelli, and as always, I'm here with
Jameson Amoros.
And guys, today, honestly, this episode, what we want to do is just kind of help a little bit because of the current disaster out in Hawaii. And guys, don't forget, we post our episodes weekly, and this is just a great example. We try and stay up to date on our topics for you guys so we can help out in any way. You can follow us on YouTube at Living in Colorado, The Mile High Perspective. We post our episodes vocals because we're a band every Friday. And our video goes up anywhere between Monday and Wednesday. And check out the rest of the channel. We have some awesome community spotlights up there. We've got some great new build homes on there. So we'd love to have you guys check that out and leave comments for us and tell us where to go and what to enjoy.
Yep. And like Charlie said, we're two Colorado-based realtors. We work for Fathom Realty here, kind of based out of, I'm down here in Castle Rock. Charlie's up north in Thornton. And we're here to help with whatever you guys need, right? Yeah. We're here to provide information and help you guys navigate real estate regardless of where you're at on your journey, right? Whether it's buying, selling, renting, investing. In today's episode's case, insurance, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a hot button topic, especially here in Colorado. We're going to go through, we're going to go through a lot of different things. We're going to go through how to deal with natural disasters and the steps to take if you are unfortunately caught in something catastrophic. We're going to talk about insurance costs and why insurance costs what it does, and specifically how it's affecting the Colorado market and homeowners here in our beloved state. And then we want to make sure we provide some resources for you guys, whether that's through FEMA, whether that's through donations if you want to donate to Hawaii, because it is, you've seen it, right? Man, it's just heartbreaking what's been on the news. So we wanted to kind of take this episode and provide as much value as possible. A lot of people, they pay their homeowners insurance and it comes out of their escrow account, and I know I don't look at it ever. It gets pulled out by my mortgage company
and not
every
only
6
that,
months.
And not only that, but I mean, this is something, we talk about on the podcast. We understand that real estate, you do it 3 transactions pretty much in your life on average. And honestly, how many of us are going to be affected by a natural disaster like this? And in my research, I found that a lot of people don't know the steps to take or what to do afterwards, because when you're dealing with the anxiety and the frustration and ultimately just the sadness of losing almost everything, your brain's not working right?
Well, we've talked about this previously, not talked about, I guess, touched on it.
Yeah.
Where you look at climate change, and I know hot button issue, it's not real, it is real. Shut up. Doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is that if natural disasters stay the same, right? So let's say there is no climate change, just for you people out there. There's no climate change, right? So the forest fires are going to stay the same, tornadoes are going to stay the same, hurricanes are going to stay the same. However, what's going to change is the amount of homes that are creeping into those areas, because we can't build on top of each other, so we have to expand outward, right? Yep. And I think it's an important topic to go over, because inevitably, whether you believe in climate change or you don't believe in climate change, your risk of experiencing a natural disaster just based on the expansion of the human population in the United States is going to increase.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
We want to make sure you guys understand what that looks like, what steps to take, what resources are out there, and where the cost comes from.
And of course, on this podcast, it's not all about real estate. We enjoy bourbon on every episode, weekly for you guys. And this week, we have another random grab. Isn't that right,
We do have
Jimbo?
a random grab. I'm going to start calling these like the blindfold bottles.
Yep.
Right?
Ooh, blindfold bottle.
Yeah.
I like it.
The blindfold bottles. Yeah. I was looking for a very specific bourbon today.
Yeah.
I talked to you about it earlier. So for those of you that know me, I'm a huge Steph Curry fan.
Huge
I'm
Steph Curry fan.
By fan, like fanboy, right? Almost jealous of his wife, honestly, at this point. But I watched him play.
If you can't see the twinkle in his eye right now talking about him, it's real.
And something else. You know what I'm saying? But I've watched him since Davidson, followed his career, and I love the dude, right? I think everything he does turns to gold. And I've recently found out that he is like us. He has been a bourbon lover for a number of years. And he has now gotten to the point, he probably got to this point 10 years ago with the money he made, but he came out with his own bourbon brand. So keep an eye out for it. I will have it on this podcast as soon as it becomes available. It's called Gentleman's Cut, and he's been promoting it on social media. This is not a paid advertisement. I just love the dude, and I'm so excited that he's a bourbon lover as well. So I was looking for that one, couldn't find it. It's supposed to hit shelves this week. So I was like, man, I'm going to try something a little bit different. Came across this bottle, and so far the cheat taste test pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. The neck pour wasn't very bad on it.
No, it's not. So
And what's the name of it?
Good question.
I think it's like Fly. What is it? DryFly.
It's a
Bourbon
DryFly
101.
bourbon. Small batch, 101. So a couple things. It is a small batch bourbon. It is 101 proof, so it's 50.5% ABV, alcohol by volume. It's aged 3 years in American oak barrels. And it pays homage to the outdoors. So if you guys are ever, fly fishermen will understand what DryFly is. I am not one of those people, but it's a type of lure, apparently, that you can use and a type of way that you fly fish.
I know nothing of it.
Right, me either. But it was born in the Great Northwest, the Pacific Northwest, in Washington State. So they actually have their distillery. Their main distillery is in Spokane, which if you guys haven't been up to Washington State, I rag on it sometimes because it just rains way too much.
So that's the other thing I was going to say, too, is right when you said that, I mean, just the distillation process alone, the wetness of the area, I wonder how much that plays into it.
I don't know. I mean,
we've heard about different distilleries doing, certain barrels at certain times of the year because of how saturated the barrels can get. Yep. So I would guess in a place that's so humid and has so much rainfall, it would play a significant amount into the bourbon. Yeah. So
it is the first bourbon that was legally distilled in Washington State.
Interesting.
So 2007 is when they came to fruition. And a couple cool, just unique things that they do, right? Because obviously, when you think bourbon, you don't think Washington State.
No.
Right?
No.
You think craft beer, wine country.
Well, and for all the purists, if it's not coming from
exactly right,
two places.
Yep, exactly. It's like wine, like it's got to come from Champagne's got to come from the Champagne region,
yep.
Which I get. But the one cool thing they do is they purposely make everything locally sourced. So we always hear the term like farm to table, right? Like, okay, if it's a farm to table, that means that the restaurant's ingredients they're using are from family-owned farms within a certain distance. Mm-hmm. The exact same thing with these guys. So these guys only use grains from local farms within 30 miles of the actual distillery itself.
I love it because that means everything is being played by the same factors. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool. So they call it farm to glass.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
And they have a tasting room in Spokane. Opens at 11. I think closes at 6. You can take whiskey tours and whatnot. So cool story. They won a couple of medals. The most recent one was back in 2018. That was the Whiskeys of the World. They won a silver medal.
Okay.
So again, for you purists, a silver medal in the Whiskeys of the World from Washington, not bad.
Not at all.
And then, like I said, American oak barrels. As far as tasting notes and whatnot, they don't give us a ton. So I'm kind of interested to see what we think. But yeah, I'm excited, man. It's anything farm to table, like keeping things local, and again, it's just cool.
The fact that they have that much control over what goes into
they have that much control, and I have a sweet spot for it because to me that just means, hey, we're supporting local businesses, and we as realtors are our own local businesses, right? So shout out to any of my clients that have given me referrals or have been referred to me. Like, you guys are the lifeblood of my business, so I appreciate any company that's nationally recognized to use specifically local businesses to support. So it's just kind of a cool story.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna go. Let's cheers it up and get some notes going. Cheers. So I mean, immediately on the nose, there's a sweetness to it that you really wouldn't expect from a small batch. But I mean, ultimately, and the color on it for 3 years, we've seen a lot lighter.
Oh yeah,
for 3 years, and even you could see some little particulates in there, but that's normal for a 3 year, especially on a small batch because they are a little bit more chosen and pinpointed on what they're doing.
The burn's not bad on the nose.
No.
I get some caramel,
and this is 100 proof, right? I mean, for 100 proof, that's not a bad burn at all.
No,
at all.
No, I like it.
And some sweetness on the front. I think I was getting a little bit of peach.
Yeah, honestly. I got like an apricot almost.
Yeah.
Like just dried fruit in general.
Yep. Little bit of spice on the nose. And when I say spices, I'm talking more like that cardamom.
Yeah.
Little less cinnamon, but definitely those natural spices to it. Go ahead and take a sippy. That is smooth, man.
It is smooth.
That is for the small batch. We were on a small batch kick for a while.
It lingers a little bit on the back of the tongue.
Yeah, but this does not punch at the beginning. Like the alcohol is not there at the beginning of the sip.
No, it's not.
Wow. Hold on. I gotta. Talk about the evolution of a flavor on this thing. Wow. I gotta get another sip.
So, man, surprising, right?
Yeah.
Especially
Starts out with that fruit.
Especially for a 50.
Yeah.
I would expect some more burn, a little bit more punch, like you said.
Only for 3 years.
But I get the fruit in the front. There's a little bit of the burn, but it dissipates pretty quick. But I'm left with kind of like a caramel, vanilla, sweeter note on the back of the tongue that just kind of sits there.
I definitely, because on the front of the bottle, it talks about like standard bourbon. Like yes, this is I get all the regular notes of what you would expect from that bourbon. Just the regular natural bourbons. For sure, but that flavor on the back end, man.
Yeah, it's good.
It sits sweet, nutty. I'm gonna like it.
I like it. No, Washington State, shout out.
Shout out, man.
You guys do know how to make some bourbon.
Yeah, well, maybe
that's good, man.
Maybe that moisture locks it in a little bit more.
I wonder if that has something to do. Well, so it's like, and we haven't tasted this yet. We'll do this on the podcast eventually. But the Jefferson Ocean, the aged at sea, their whole premise is those barrels are aged at sea. Wild, I know, crazy, right? But it's because they let that saltwater air permeate the barrels. So I'm wondering, you're right, like a rick house in Washington versus a rick house in Colorado.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going to have a lot more moisture seep in and loosen those wood grains and maybe release some of that extra flavor in there.
And it's just the smoothness. For it to be 3 years, I mean, and a small batch at 100 proof, this is proven to be pretty good.
Hey, blindfold barrel pick.
Yeah.
Blindfold bottle pick.
Blindfold bottle. I like it.
So Charlie, did you? What have you've watched the news, right? Like, have you seen some of the drone videos and whatnot?
Yeah, it's devastation at its core.
It's insane. Dude.
Yeah, as far as the definition goes, and guys, as you know, we always try and stay kind of like middle ground on it when we talk about topics like this, especially because if you are on any kind of social media, you're seeing all the theories come out, all the asphalt should have evaporated, or there's a space laser, or whatever it is, like
direct energy weapon. Bom, bom, bom.
We're not going to talk about that.
No. Like I'll talk about it with somebody that is versed in thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Or firefighters, right? And to give you guys background, what we're talking about is the wildfire, and I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm just going to say near Maui, right? Yep. And essentially what happened was there's a brush fire that started. It was propelled by a hurricane to the to the south, I believe. No, to the north, that was kicking up 70, 80 mile an hour winds. And if you're from Colorado, it is very reminiscent of the Superior fire that we had 2 years ago.
Yes,
absolutely. That wiped out 150 homes on this beautiful golf course community. And it was started by an outdoor campfire that was not put out correctly. And essentially what happened was, which this is also crazy, by the way, the report just came out a little bit ago. So the Superior fire, if you guys aren't aware, we've talked about it on a previous episode, probably almost a year ago, was started by embers. The fire was actually put out. So initially they thought the fire was burning and got out of control. The forensic arson forensics, the crack team that does fire investigation found out that the fire was actually put out. And it was actually put out correctly. But there was a couple of embers that were still lit that a normal person probably wouldn't have noticed
or considered.
And what happened was those embers got relit because there was a windstorm that came in, 90, 100 mile an hour gusts up near Superior that carried those embers a couple of 100 yards. Yeah. They caught on the right piece of fuel. We had a very dry season. And then once one thing caught on fire, those 100 mile an hour winds are now carrying 10-foot flames. And if you've never been part of a forest fire or never seen it, right?
I'll see if I can find my photos or videos.
Yeah, we're going to stay in the middle, right? But there is a great Ring doorbell camera from the Superior fires on one of the townhomes that just is time lapse of how quickly this fire spread. And people don't understand that fire has just kind of a mind of its own.
Yeah, especially when it's fueled by wind.
By wind, right? So what happened was this fire swept through Superior within hours to the point where, I mean, you could barely evacuate, right? Now what happens in Hawaii is you're on an island. So as the fire is moving, because the fire's not going to start in the ocean, right? Or on the shore. Why? Because there's more moisture there. So if it starts inland and moves towards the ocean, where can people go?
The ocean.
Right? They can go in the ocean. And this was being fueled by by wind from a hurricane, 70, 80 mile an hour gusts. And it's devastating. And we wanted to make sure we talk about it and give you guys resources because it shows that on a lush tropical island that gets, 4 or 5 inches of rain in a month, et cetera. Like
Possible.
it can still happen.
Yeah.
Regardless of climate change, it can happen as structures get closer and closer, and it happens in the blink of an eye,
Yes.
right? Think about
So
tornadoes, think about hurricanes, think about storm surge. All these different things, hailstorms can affect your home, and they can happen in the blink of an eye. This highlights the need because I looked at the initial numbers. Just guess. So in that area, what they're thinking currently, right, as far as total cost out of pocket for insurance companies, it's going to be
I would guess over 10 million.
$3.2 billion in damage so far. That's an initial estimate.
Incredible.
$3.2 billion. The Superior fire was about $2 billion.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that I want to highlight too, guys, is as we talk about our topic today and kind of going how to handle it, FEMA and all that kind of stuff, we're going to talk about it from as they see it. And again, timelines depend on a multitude of things as to when help can come, as to when you're going to get paid. But the information that we're going to give you is directly from FEMA, is directly from what they expect and how they go about it. So to kind of move into the episode and start the conversation, what we want to do is talk about what happens after the natural disaster occurs. What can you do, or what are the steps that you should take after you're affected by a natural disaster, right? And what we're going to cover is, first, you want to reach out to FEMA. Then after that, you want to reach out to your insurance company. And then and again, you can do this in any kind of order, but these are the 3 main things that you want to take care of. So FEMA, insurance, and then title and your mortgage holder, whoever's holding the note for your mortgage, right? So basically what I did is I dove into FEMA and basically kind of how it works, where to go, how to handle it, and stuff like that. And again, guys, take this with a grain of salt because this is basically the steps that you should take. The timelines may be shorter, maybe longer, but as long as you do this, you will get some kind of assistance.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember too, right? Like FEMA is backed by who?
The government, the federal government.
And what do we know about the U.S. government?
It's a little slow.
It's slow, right? So there's
especially I think, when money is involved.
Yeah, and I think it's important. We talk about it all the time. Like at some point, and this is so hard to say, right? Once the disaster happens, you almost have to take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
And understand that like the wheels of the federal government turn very slowly.
Yes. Because
it's large and it's clunky and our resources that Charlie's deep dived into are there for a purpose to help. Are your timelines going to be shitty? Most likely, because it's not just you. If it's a large natural disaster. I mean, like I said, Superior was 150, 180 homes. It's 180 people that are trying to get help at the same time. Yeah. And there's a lot of shit that goes into it, right?
Well, and when I looked at the FEMA website, actively, if I remember correctly, right now, and this is something I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
There are 5 to 7 active disasters that are running right now. But this is away from Hawaii. Like there's one in Illinois. I didn't know that. Right?
What's the one in Illinois?
It gives you a list. It says Hawaii and then
I'm assuming tornado.
Right? Yeah, but it gives you a list. So again, exactly like Jameson's saying, is take it with a grain of salt. Just know that if you do this, there will be some kind of assistance eventually.
At least you get the ball rolling.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, you move forward.
Yes. So the first thing that you want to do is reach out to FEMA, and that can be 3 different ways. You can go to disasterassistance.gov and fill out your information, and I'll go over that information in a second. Or you can call 1-800-621-3362 or 1-800, I believe it's 62-FEMA.
Yep.
And that's, or 621 FEMA or 62 FEMA. Either way. Or welcome to the 21st century in the age of technology. You can go right into a FEMA mobile app. You can download the app and fill out the information, right? So basically what you're looking at when you apply for this assistance through FEMA is you're going to get 2 main forms of assistance, okay? You're going to have the IHP, which stands for Individuals and Households Program, or you're going to have the Small Business Administration loans, okay? And I understand, trust me, when I first started looking into this too, you're telling me you're going to make people take out loans for something that they can't control. Yes, but these loans are funded by the SBA, and they are extremely low interest rates in order to assist you a little bit more. And with that being said, when you go on to FEMA, what you're applying for first is that Individual and Households Program. And that program is going to cover things like temporary housing and some home repairs and repairs made to your home, as well as some of the amenities that you're looking at. It will not cover your phone, and it will not cover your food costs. But take a look in your local areas because they do have disaster basically buildings that you can reach out to, and local organizations, which we are going to throw all of that information where you can donate.
Yeah, you can go to Red Cross. Red Cross is a big one. There's
in the
a lot of the
description.
insurance companies will set up mobile disaster sites and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I want to point out, so Charlie, you said that the point about the loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's important to understand, like, people, their initial reaction is, well, I should just get money.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have to understand that as much as an individual conspiracy theorist, shut up. I don't even want to hear you comment on this next thing I'm about to say. As much as an individual cannot control the weather or things that happen natural disaster-wise, neither can the government.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, and then on top
of
that,
so if they are loaning you money, they still need to get that paid back because we still have to run a society. So,
well, and then Jameson, I love it. You've been amazing at the softball pitches for the hits, man. So that's it. Actually, the next thing I wanted to talk about is between the two. If you get the individual and household program, if you're part of that program, that does not need to be repaid. That is from FEMA, but that comes from a collective tax dollar from all of us that then you do not have to repay. What you do have to repay is the SBA. And to Jameson's point of government can't account for it, everybody who complains about taxes and giving more money to help other people, that's the reason the SBA is there. Right. Because if we took all that money from the IHP, there wouldn't be it, or we'd be paying astronomical amount just to have that as a backup.
Well, and it behooves the government and us in general to keep businesses running during these times, especially if they're mission critical to whether it's food distribution, whether it's energy, gas stations, whether it's cell phone stores, whatever it is. But I did not know that. So if you apply for the IHP, that is funded via tax dollars.
Yes.
And if you have to use that, you don't have to pay that back.
Correct. And that is, again, for home repairs.
Is there a limit, or is there...
So basically how it works is when you apply for the IHP and you start going through the process, I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of did a faux application before I got on here. Honestly, it was as simple as like signing up for a newsletter. It really wasn't that bad. But what I want to do is go over some of the things that you would need, the main elements of this application, so you can be prepared. And then I will give you some examples of that as well.
Okay.
So when you log on and you start applying, and again, yes, guys, I have my notes here because I want to make sure that I am as exact and right on this as possible.
Yeah, we don't want to guess.
No, not on stuff like this, because this can directly help thousands and hundreds of people at this point, right? So once you go in and you apply, the things that you will need on hand before you go into that application will be your social security number, annual household income, phone number, address, email, and the damaged home address. So what that means is you know how you have your permanent address and then your mailing address? You can put your permanent address on there, but if your permanent address is the damaged address, same thing. Just put the same thing for both. Then you want your bank account info. And you're going to go, why the hell do I want my bank account info? Because, like we were saying earlier, we all want money, right? We all want the help from it. Give me the money. That'll help them give you a direct deposit once they go through and basically assess what you're looking at, okay? So, Jameson, to your point, how it works is once you finish this application, and again, guys, this is FEMA's timeline. This is what they say how it should be per their expectations, is 10 days after the application, you will get notified by an inspector, and that is if your insurance doesn't cover a good amount of what it is. And Jameson's going to go over insurance a little bit, but again, this is just FEMA and kind of what you're looking at there. So they will send a certified inspector out to the home and to inspect the damage and basically give FEMA a report of what your damages are. Now, special note on this. The first thing that you're going to want to do after the disaster occurs is go in, start cleaning up, gathering your things, slow down a little bit, and take pictures of the damage. Everything. It does not matter how many you have, as the more the merrier, because all those photos will help your case, right? You can present them, you can give it to the inspector when he gets there, but if you go through and you start cleaning and you start moving things, that inspector may not see, the damage on the wall in some area or downstairs, whatever it is, right? So
I think that's important because there's certain, and I'll take personal experience, right? So my wife, Caitlin, her parents lived in Colorado Springs during the Waldo Canyon fire in Mountain Shadows is the neighborhood, right? And they were away from their house when it tore through.
Okay.
And it was at that point it was the costliest fire in Colorado history because it went through, and all these homes were 700,000 and up, which that was back in 2014. So now those houses are 1.5, right? But because they were out and they didn't get back in time, right? Their damage wasn't complete.
Yep.
So I think this is important because you can sit there and say, okay, well, in Hawaii, these houses are decimated. Like, there's nothing left, right? That's important too. You still want to take pictures, I'm assuming, and make sure that people understand that there's what the scope of the damage is. But if you have a house that has smoke damage, or maybe just the shingles off the house, or maybe damaged fencing or whatever it is, that's the important part, because the inspector may, and it's human bias, right? They look at your house and they look at something that's completely totaled, and it's going to be a difference of opinion when they go back to the report. However, if you have pictures and say, well, my deck is this damage and I've lost this furniture and I've lost this blah, 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 whatever it is, that's why it's important, because not every house is going to be devastated or have the same level of destruction as the next house, especially in something like a forest fire or a tornado where it can skip and do different things.
Absolutely,
so,
especially because it's, like we said earlier, it's controlled by the wind direction, right? And you could have a house on the right that got completely decimated, but then the house right next to it.
You can have things like with my in-laws' house, they didn't have a ton of visible physical damage to the home, but they had a ton of smoke damage.
Yeah.
And smoke damage is a lot harder to see. So unless you know what you're looking for, that's why you want to take pictures of everything, right? You may walk in your house and go, I don't really see any damage.
Yes.
But if you take pictures of the interior after something like a fire and you hand it to the inspector can go, that's smoke damage. We're going to count that towards whatever that payout is.
Yes, exactly. And again, human error, guys. You know, they're humans too, right? So just by doing that, do your due diligence and kind of just take it upon yourself. If you think that it's damaged, take a picture of it. I don't care if it's just a little bit, you know, the contrast on your wall is just a little bit off. Take a picture of it, because the more evidence that you have, the better your case is in the long run, right? So as far as the documentation that you would need while you're filling it out before the inspector gets there and does the inspection, here are some pieces of documentation that will help you. As far as ownership documentation, you're looking for the deed of your home. You can use the title number document. So your title, you can call your title company, get that title, send that to them. A mortgage payment book, so basically just your statements from you making payments or there being an existing mortgage. Real property insurance for damaged dwelling. Again, that's going to be your insurance that you have to cover the property. Again, this is ownership to show that you live there. And then tax receipt or property tax bill. And these are all things to show, again, ownership. So if you show your tax receipts or property tax bill with your name on it, it shows that you are paying for this property. You are paying for that land, and that gives them verification that you are the proper owner filing for this relief. Secondly, the occupancy documentation. So to prove that not only do you own it, but you currently are living and in the dwelling and living in it. You can do a utility bill for damaged dwellings, and that's electric, gas, water. But again, that has to have your name and the address on it of the affected dwelling, and that is going to be for everything that I say right now. You get credit card bills and first-class mail addressed to you, again, name, address, and then a pay stub that has the current dwelling and your name, obviously. So the other thing that I want to point out is, Jameson, are the only people that can apply for this the ones that own the property?
I would assume not.
No.
As long as they know the address.
Exactly. So if you are renting, you don't have to own the property in order to apply for this, for FEMA, right? Because you do have, again, renter's insurance to cover those things in there. But it's not just owners of the property. If you are renting from your landlord, you can qualify, but it just goes into filling out all this information, okay? So afterwards, you've applied for it, you've gone on FEMA, you've called, you've gone on the app, you've filled out all the information, you've put the application in. Now, 10 days later, or within the 10 days, you're going to get a call from the inspector. The inspector comes out, does the inspection, you provide him with your photos that you've taken, all of the photos of the minuscule things, and then he's going to go, okay, thank you, we'll be in touch. Now, again, FEMA says that from that moment, it should take anywhere between 10 to 15 days for you to hear back on that, okay? So now, when when they're going through and looking at what the inspector said and basically saying, yes, it's worth this, it's not worth this, we can cover this, we can't. An important note is you may not get a direct deposit or a confirmation immediately.
Right.
What may come is the SB loan, the Small Business Administration loan. You may get something that FEMA goes, hey, we can cover this, but we'd highly recommend that you reach out for SBA here, right? Now, I know the question that everybody's wondering is, hey, this is my property. I know what was here. I know what it looked like beforehand. So what if this guy missed something? Is it just end all be all? Is it done? Does he get to decide? So the short answer is no. But again, these guys are picked by the administration to be their inspectors, right? So they will take their information, but you do have an opportunity to appeal. And in order to appeal, all you have to do is reach back out via the phone number or the website and get in contact, and they will let you know how to start this appeal process. And again, this is to appeal so you can plead your case. So again, take all the pictures that you can, everything. But it does not guarantee more money, okay? That is the one thing that I want to point out. You can appeal it, but it does not guarantee on the back end that you will get more money. It just says that they will reevaluate your case. And again, guys, if you do that, remember that you are now putting yourself in more time to deal with the appeal, right? And so the thing that I wanted to talk about with the Small Business Administration loans.
Well, hold on. Before we go there, I do have a question.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, we can do the research later. But for the IHP, obviously your insurance company itself is going to be the payout for the structure and anything inside of it based on whatever your policy is, what riders you have, personal property, real property, et cetera. But for the IHP loan, is there, I guess, two questions. One, is there a cap on how much that you can get paid? And two, is that based off of like a percentage of the house value, or do you know how they determine what that looks like? Because it sounds like, hey, here's money you don't have to pay back, but how much money would that potentially be? So
from what I read on their website, it can range anywhere between $75,000 to $200,000.
Okay.
For what you get from FEMA, and again, this is to supplement, right? If
right, is there a way that they dictate that? Yeah.
It's virtually around the area, kind of like we do our comparative market analysis. Okay. They look around at other occurrences where people have had the same amount of bedrooms, baths, properties, and then they evaluate it from there. At least from what I read on the website for the frequently asked questions. And again, I'll put a link down in the description for that. So if you don't want to watch through this whole thing or listen about it, you can click.
Well, I think the reason I want to differentiate is because it's different than making a claim through your homeowner's insurance and getting paid out for the rebuilding costs of a house. This is supplemental income essentially to get you through to the point where then you can turn around and say, okay, now I'm rebuilding my home and doing all these different things.
Exactly. And this will cover things like temporary housing. Right. It will cover things like clothing that you need to replace. Honestly, like basic needs is what this FEMA
food,
IHP
clothing,
will
shelter.
Well, no, so that's the thing. It won't cover food.
Oh, that's right.
Right. But
if they give you money, you can use it.
You can use it. Yeah, absolutely.
They just don't take that into account.
Yes, but great point. Great point that you said there. One thing that I want to emphasize very, very heavily, okay? Do not over exaggerate what you are claiming or the information that you give to FEMA. It is a federal offense if you lie about it, and you can face criminal charges and up to a $250,000 fine if they find out that you've tried to claim anything that you didn't have.
Got it.
So like that, I understand, guys, this is a unique example, and you guys, I'm going to get money. Be honest, because at the end of the day, too, like, don't be selfish about it.
Right. Because that money goes to everybody else too.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Because if you claim something and you don't deserve it, somebody else is going to lose out on that. Right. And as far as the SBA loan,
be altruistic.
Ooh, yeah,
wow.
Yeah. The way that humans got what we got now is
weird,
helping each other,
crazy.
Right?
We're social animals, people.
And again, I just want to kind of emphasize the small business loan. That is a loan that, again, since you are paying back, yes, they have stipulations. Yes, please don't over exaggerate on that. But it's a little bit more lenient on what you can spend the money on and stuff like that.
We've seen that with COVID.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So just, guys, those are great examples, or just basically the steps and what you need in order to apply after the disaster and what happens. And again, the sooner you do this, the better,
Right.
because you're going to get, obviously you're going to be at the top of the list, so it's going to be a little bit faster, but also you have more time to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. And just so you guys know, these SBA loans, they're usually anywhere between, if I remember correctly, 3 to 6 months on the loan amount and the repayment. But again, the interest rates are extremely low in order to help you on these sorts of things.
Makes sense.
And obviously the loan amount varies based on what you need help with, right?
How many employees you have and overhead and all
yes.
that. Yeah.
Now, with that being said, let's say you get that SBA loan back and it will not cover your damages, or you can't qualify for it, you can't afford it. What will happen at that point is SBA will then refer you back to FEMA and IHP in order to help you figure out what other money you're entitled to and what you can cover, right? So that is the portion of after it happens. You want to reach out to FEMA, fill out your application, get that all done. The next thing that comes is you want to reach out to your insurance. Mm-hmm. And Jameson, I know you deep dived into the insurance portion of it. So what does that look like for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, as far as reaching out to your insurance, I think that in and of itself is pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, hey, State Farm, lost my house. Have you turned on the news in the last 3 days? I got nothing, right?
You living under a rock, bro?
And they will, basically give you a replacement cost value of your home. And that same thing, they'll take an inspector out, they'll look at the site, they'll look at the house, the rebuilding costs, et cetera, and they'll essentially cut you a check.
Okay.
And say, hey, your house burnt down. We're going to give you, to rebuild this house, it's going to cost, I don't know, call it $760,000. Your policy.
Where do they find that value?
Your policy is up to $585, whatever that is. A multitude of factors, right? They'll look at labor costs, they'll look at construction costs, they'll look at material costs, they'll look at the square footage of similar houses and what it costs to rebuild them to spec, and they'll say, hey, the rebuilding cost is X amount. The important piece of this is what you do prior to anything happening, because there is a multitude of people, and I forgot to look up the percentage, but it is high, of people that are underinsured on their homes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and not only that, you have so many people that, once they pay off their home and they're not required to do homeowners insurance, a lot of them deem it as unnecessary and just go, oh, I'll take care of it if I need it, or I'll just take the very catastrophic plan.
Correct.
In order to deal with it.
Yeah. And it's, again, insurance is one of those things, right? You buy it so that you never have to use it. Mm-hmm. It sucks, but at the end of the day, unless you're walking around with $1 million in your bank account and you can just rebuild a house from scratch, it's necessary, right? Yeah.
And guys, check out our Real Estate Served on the Rocks playlist. I think it was episode 4 or 5. We had Silk Madam on the podcast. Yep. She is an amazing insurance broker, basically, and it is a phenomenal episode with a lot of information. We'll link it in the video here for you guys. But if you want to do a deep dive on insurance and just learn a little bit more about it, feel free to go there.
Yeah. But basically what people make the mistake of is, they say, okay, well, I could sell my house for $760,000. It's not what replacement cost is based off of. And that's not what your policy is based off of. There's a lot of people that can sell their house in this market for 20% over what the replacement cost is. Yep. But then their replacement cost is 20% under that. So let's say, you buy a house, I don't know, 5 years ago, for $450,000. Okay. Yep. We go through COVID. There's supply chain issues. There's labor issues. There's the material cost issues, all this kind of stuff that drives things up. So the replacement cost of a home just since 2019, right? We're 2023 now, has gone up 52% on average.
Wow.
Okay. More than likely, your insurance policy has not reflected that increase, which means that your replacement cost in 2019 may have been $520,000 on a $700,000 house. Okay. Fast forward to 2023, that replacement cost is now $700,000 on a $750,000 house. But your insurance policy only insures you up to the $520,000 because you haven't adjusted it since 2019 because you don't think about it, right? So what does that mean? Well, that means is let's say your house burns down, okay? And you go, you know what? I don't want to rebuild. I just want to go buy a new home. You're expecting the value of your house in the form of a check from your insurance company saying, well, on an open market, my house will sell for $700,000. Then what happens is you get the check from the insurance company at $520,000 because that's the replacement cost, okay? You lived in your house for 5 years. Let's say you owe $360,000 on that house. Well, you got to pay off your mortgage because somebody still owns that deed. Now you're only left with $200,000. You thought you were going to have $500,000. Now all of a sudden you find yourself downsizing because you can't afford the same house that you had before whatever natural disaster occurred, which is why it's important to make sure and to have your insurance company validate that your replacement cost is always up to date on your home, especially over these last 3 years, because home values have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
But most insurance companies aren't going to adjust the policy for you because it means that you pay more. They can't do that, right? So it is up to you as a homeowner to go, okay, I've added a sunroom. I've expanded my deck. I've finished my basement, right? Like a lot of people, that's a big one. If you finish your basement and you don't permit it, right? You don't
That's a lot
permit
of square
it.
footage.
You don't permit it because you don't want to pay taxes on it. But if you don't permit it, you also can't insure it.
Yep.
So now you're like, well, I have a 5,000 square foot house. No, you don't. According to your permits, you have a 3,000 square foot house with 2,000 square feet of unfinished basement, which means if your house burns down, you'll be reimbursed based on a 3,000 square foot house, not a 5,000 square foot house.
So Jameson, let me ask, is there a difference between a home when it comes to insurance claims and how they go about it? Is there a difference between the process of, let's say you have somebody whose, again, house is visually demolished down to the floor, you see the foundation, versus somebody who has smoke damage, siding damage? Is there a difference there?
As far as a process goes?
Yeah.
No.
No,
process
right?
is the same.
And the reason I say that is because a lot of people would think right off the bat, if I walk up and there's not a structure here, oh, the insurance is going to pull up and just go, oh, yeah, I can send them pictures. There's no structure here, right? Versus, oh no, there's damage here. It's the same thing, guys. It's not per circumstance. It's I'm putting an insurance claim in, and they have to evaluate how much is going towards that claim.
Right. And the reason they do that is because at the end of the day, in order for an insurance company to continue to provide insurance, they have to be solvent, which means they have to have more money coming in than they are paying out, right? If an insurance company becomes insolvent, right, you're going to kick this back to like 7th grade science. If I put a certain amount of material in water, whatever doesn't dissolve means it's insolvent and it's left over. If it becomes insolvent, they can now not afford to pay claims. And the reason I bring that up is because I feel like, and you've seen this, and you rent, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've talked to people that are like, insurance is a fucking scam and blah, 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 all this sort of shit, right?
Yeah.
They do. Because everybody looks at it from a very minute, like, I've never had to use it, so they're just taking my money, and there's no way that they don't have enough money to pay. I don't know why they're raising rates on me and blah, 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 right? I've seen this. Colorado right now is getting hit hard with insurance premiums for a couple different reasons. The Superior fire, and back in 2022, we had a hailstorm run through Aurora. There was almost $2.7 billion in damage, right?
Yep.
So what people don't understand is, yes, I am paying, I don't know, like my insurance on my home right now. And again, I'll be real with you guys. My house, I could probably sell it for $720,000, roughly, right? I pay about $1,800 to $1,900 a year in homeowners insurance. And I bundle it with my car and everything else, right? I have never once used that insurance to repair anything on my house. I think my deductible's $1,000.
Yep.
Okay. So in my head, if I live in Jameson's bubble, all I'm seeing is I'm paying out $1,900 from my own pocket to an insurance company that I've never used, right? So the small-minded individuals will go, well, they're just making money hand over fist.
Yep.
So here's a statistic for you guys. You know me.
Stat guy.
Over the last 5 years, Colorado specifically. So I'm sure it's actually higher in places like California and Florida and Louisiana, right, where insurance companies are actually pulling out because they're insolvent. In Colorado alone, over the last 5 years, if you take the 5 major insurance companies, Allstate, Farmers, State Farm, Progressive, and I forget the other one, Travelers, right? Like whatever those are, doesn't matter. For every dollar that they have taken in premium payments, and we're talking homeowners insurance, okay? I'm not talking car insurance, but that's a whole other topic from a different industry. I'm talking homeowners insurance. For every dollar that they've taken in homeowners insurance over the last 5 years in Colorado, they have paid out $1.60. So you do the math. What does that mean? It means that for every dollar that I pay, in my case it's Progressive, they're losing 60 cents. Is that a sustainable business model? No. How do you fix it? You have to raise rates by 60 cents on the dollar if you want to do super easy math. Why is that? Well, again, this is the hard part because people, if it doesn't affect them directly, they don't see it, right? Mm-hmm. But the hailstorm that ripped through, I think it was either last year or the year before, Aurora and Parker got crushed.
Slammed.
Crushed. We're talking $2.7 billion paid out. Mm. The Superior fire through those 150 homes, that's it. Didn't affect anybody else outside of it, outside of Louisville and Boulder, right? Westminster area, Brighton, or not Brighton, North Glen. Didn't affect them, but insurance companies paid out $2.2 billion. So 2 events in the last 5 years, 2 events, paid out almost $6 billion.
Billion,
right?
Billion.
So yes, you are paying $1,900 a month in this, and you're paying or $1,900 a year in homeowners insurance, $900 a year in renters insurance, et cetera, and thinking they're making money hand over fist. But if you break down the numbers, they're losing 60 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
Right? So what that means for you guys is there could potentially be a time where you are affected by a tornado, a brush fire, hail damage, wind damage, theft, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And if the insurance companies continue to lose money, there will come a point where you go, hey, here's my claim. They look at you and go, sorry, we're out of money.
Yep.
We can't pay this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, refund me. We don't have enough money to refund you. So what am I? You're SOL.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it's important to understand, number one, you want to make sure that your coverage covers the actual value of your home. Yep. Right? Because that's gone up 52%. So really your coverage should have gone up 52% over the last year to make sure if something does happen, you can either rebuild your home as it was from scratch, or you can get that, pay off your mortgage, have enough money to rebuild a similar home somewhere else. Number two, understand that as we continue, we touched on this in the beginning of the podcast, as we continue to encroach in these areas that are affected, it's getting more and more expensive for insurance companies to insure, right?
Well, so we're also getting more properties.
Exactly. So if I have to make a claim, the claim's the same. I call up, I'll say, hey, my house burnt down. I need somebody to come out here. The process is the exact same as Charlie talked about with FEMA. Take pictures, write down all of your personal property that you can remember that got lost, TVs, stereos, speakers, laptops, phones, clothes.
God, Jameson, you're so good at the tee up, man. Like, you should be a softball coach, just tossing it up, my man. I wanted to ask you, how, if in any situation this happens, right? Are the insurance companies or FEMA going to know how much your property is valued at? Are they going to put the effort in to look at each independent item and know how much it cost you to buy those items?
It's on the owner.
Right? It's on the owner. So, and the reason I bring that up is because it's so important. You have so many people now, and it's easier now in the technological age where if you buy something, you have a digital receipt. But this is why it is so important to track your purchases and know the value that you are putting into your home. Like, don't just buy a fridge and go, okay, I bought a fridge. Buy a fridge, keep the receipt, document it, because regardless, I mean, those people out in Superior, like you said, happened in an instant. They didn't know what was going on, right? And if you just recently renovated a kitchen, you want to know how much that tile costs. You want to know how much those cabinet costs, what your fridge costs, stove, everything.
Or think about it this way, right? Let's say you have expensive jewelry, right? Can you claim jewelry on a standard homeowners insurance? You could, but they're going to give you a standard value.
Yes.
Right? Versus, let's say I've got, I don't know, and I'm not a jewelry person, right? But I've got a 24 karat gold something, blah, 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 that's worth an exorbitant amount. Oh, actually, you know what? Fuck that. The new trend. Yeah. I guess it's not new, but I've seen it on TikTok a lot. Same with Instagram. Watches.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there's a whole thing.
It's just side market to watches.
About watches, right? Whether it's Rolexes or I don't know. One of my buddies is into it, and he's trying to explain it to me, and I don't get it. But you can get a Rolex. If a Rolex is $17,000, you need to ask your insurance company if you need a separate rider for that. Because let's say I sold a home in Castle Pines, right? My client has a collection,
a display box
of watches, right? Yes. And those watches are probably worth over $100,000 total. Okay, on a standard homeowners insurance policy, the insurance company's going to go, yeah, I don't care. So an average watch is $37. It's a fucking Seiko, whatever. Yep. Here's your $37. So you need to ask your insurance company, hey, on the chance that I do lose these, do I need an extra rider?
Yep.
The answer is yes.
Certificate of authenticity.
And authenticity. The answer is yes, right? But if you have that and you're prepared, then you can say, hey, here's the deal. Because at the end of the day, $100,000 is going to be a big deal to anybody,
Yes.
right? Same with jewelry.
Well, not to even
I've seen it
mention
done with, to hark on the Best Buy days, high-end home theater speakers.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even to mention the sentimental value to some
Correct.
of them.
Right.
You know, like there are some watches that have been passed down.
Right.
You know, and some things in the family that have been passed down, chests, like drawers, whatever
Yes.
it is, like that kind of stuff. If it is important to you, what we're saying is take the time, call your insurance company, and know what you are covered for, what
Correct.
you're not covered for, and have the paperwork and the backing to prove it.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, information is key. Like
Yeah.
if you can't prove it, if you just call them and say, "Oh my God, my grandfather owned this watch and it was back in so and so, I know it's worth this much," they're gonna go, "Can you prove it?"
Yeah, they're going to look at three,
Yeah.
melted pieces of metal and go, I don't know what this was before,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And then you're going to get pissed off because you're like, well, these were Rolexes. They should know
Yep.
that. Well, if you can't prove that they were, then you're SOL.
Yep.
Again, the theme of this is don't be SOL. Don't be
Yes.
shit out of luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, insurance is kind of that love-hate. Like
Yes.
you don't ever want to use it, but you want to make sure you're prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And to Charlie's point, like take stock of what you have, like the standard stuff, right? A TV, an Xbox, a laptop, kitchen appliances. Those are normally averaged out.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is what this is going to cost, right?
Yes.
But let's say you've got a custom-built home theater system.
Custom cabinets.
Custom cabinets. Let's say you've got imported Italian marble. Let's say you've got, heated tile floors in the bathroom. Let's say you've got, again, watches or family heirlooms or jewelry or whatever it is. Those are the type of things that you want to make sure that you guys are prepared and the insurance company knows what they are. Because to my next point, as we expand, the chances of you as a homeowner being involved in a disaster continues to get exacerbated.
Yes.
Right? Colorado's a great example. We continue to build west.
Yes.
Okay? To the west is forest fires. To the east is tornadoes. And in the center, it's hailstorms, like whatever it is, right? Like, again, and I'm not saying climate change is real, it's fake, whatever. But
if you would have told me, like if you would have said, "Hey, guess where Colorado sits on the list of wildfires and commonality?"
Oh, do you want to know?
Yeah, I would love
wow.
to know
Okay,
that.
cool. So how about this? Let's just do, because everybody loves Colorado. We're idyllic, right? 300 days of sunshine. We get snow. It's not too much. We get
Melts the next
storms, but
day.
they're over in like 2 hours, right? So if you look at, let's say you look at Florida. It's known for hurricanes.
Yes.
Same with Louisiana. Same with Texas. Same with Georgia, South Carolina, the Caribbean. Then you go to wildfires. You go, your first thought is, well, shit. California, right?
Yep.
California wildfires, right?
Yep.
Colorado's been known for some recently.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to tornadoes. Oh, Kansas, Tornado Alley. Okay, so here's a couple fun facts. Number one, do you guys want to know the most active county as far as tornadoes go in the United States? Do you know what it is?
Is it
Just
Aurora?
guess. Huh?
Is it Aurora?
County.
I don't know.
Weld County, Colorado.
Really? Makes sense though.
You guys ever been to DIA? Part of DIA is in Weld County.
It makes
It
total
is
sense.
the most active county for tornadoes in the U.S. Higher than any county in Kansas, any county in Oklahoma, any
this
county
state.
in Iowa, right? It is the most active. We have more tornadoes in Weld County than any other county in the United States, okay? For just homeowner insurance claims for catastrophic claims, natural disaster catastrophic claims, Colorado is ranked second in the nation. I couldn't tell you the last time a hurricane hit Colorado.
No.
Well, it's because we're landlocked.
Yep.
But we are second in the nation. Why is that? Very simple. We're second in hail, and we're third in wildfires.
The fact that we're third in wildfires, I mean, that alone, I mean, like being here the last 5 years and seeing the wildfires, I can see it. But if you would have told me that before I moved here, I'd be like, no way. There's no way.
Second in hail, third in wildfires. Why is hail so expensive? Because roofs are expensive.
Yep. Cars are expensive.
Cars are expensive, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So there's a reason that we talk about this, especially in Colorado. Wildfires get scored, right? Like danger on a scale of 0 to 100, like how likely a wildfire is to occur in a certain area.
Yep.
And insurers, historically, it's scaled 0 to 100, right? So insurers historically would insure homes in those areas up to an 80 out of 100.
Yep.
In Colorado, we're down to a 50 because of the monetary damage, right?
Yep.
It's wild, dude. And you pair that with 53% increase in home replacement value because of COVID, because of labor costs, material costs, et cetera. Mm-hmm. It's going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
The other piece of this is our wildfire danger. If you look at the Front Range,
yes.
And if you're in Colorado, just drive up I-70.
Mm-hmm.
If you go
drive up I-70, drive up 36
if you go to Genesee, Colorado, okay,
yeah,
just look at the houses amongst those trees and imagine if a wildfire sparks there and the average home price in that area is $2.5 million. Look at Vail.
Yeah.
Yep. Right?
Yep. And everybody hears Vail and they go, but it's snowy.
Dude, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Vail is $985,000. Okay.
Yep.
So if there's a building of 50 units at $1 million a piece, real quick math, that's $52 million. That's one unit. If a forest fire decides to rip through Vail, you're probably talking $4 to $5 billion in claims that get paid out. Absolutely. What do you think that's going to do, right, to homeowners insurance for the rest of the state?
Yes.
Nationwide, same thing, right? Because State Farm doesn't just do Colorado; they do 50 states.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about it earlier. I said the estimate right now for Hawaii is $3.2 billion. Once that gets paid out, what do you think the ripple effect is going to be for premiums throughout the rest of the nation?
Mm-hmm. They're going to have to recoup that money.
Okay. Right? Now, let's say, I don't know, I think I read something the other day. Again, climate change is not real. Off the coast of Florida, in the Gulf Coast, or in the Gulf of Mexico, they had temperatures in the ocean that were at 102 degrees.
Yep.
Okay. 102. Guys, a hot tub's 104.
Well, and I, it's funny. As we sit now, what's today's date? August 8/17/23. If I turned on the news, and they were tracking 3 separate hurricanes that were traveling right now, right? And it's just one of those things where it's like, as we see it go up, whether you believe or not, it's there and it's a possibility.
Well, and this is why I bring this up from an insurance standpoint, because everybody's like, oh my God, my insurance is going up. This is bullshit. Blah blah blah. I can't afford to live here. Here's the deal. What I just say about Florida. Off the coast, 102 degree water, right? Yep. We all know that the only thing that makes a hurricane stronger is hot water. Well, 102 degrees is pretty fucking hot. It's a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. This year, between 2022 and now, August, there's one state that has the highest influx of population. What do you think it is? Florida.
Goddamn snowbirds.
So you are now telling me that more people are moving and buying homes in Florida than any other state in the entire United States, which is it has the number one risk for hurricanes in the United States.
And people know it.
And people are moving there with equity to build large homes, okay, to have their dream and the snowbird and whatever. That home gets destroyed by a hurricane in an elevated hurricane season. It doesn't just affect Florida, it affects everybody else, because most likely that home is insured by State Farm, which has all these other different areas, right? People are moving to the Sunbelt states. Okay, well, what do you think is going to happen if a wildfire erupts in California, right? Southern California. There's a hurricane headed for San Diego right now. Yep. It's first time in, I think, 25, 30 years. There's a lot of expensive houses in San Diego.
A lot of expensive.
What do you think that's going to... So the point is, be prepared, right?
Yes.
Are costs going to go up? Yes. They are. But all you can do is, 1, budget for the increase. 2, prepare yourself so if something does happen catastrophic, then you can at least rebuild your life with minimal cost.
Yes.
Right? Like that's all we can do.
And at the end of the day, be grateful that we do have things like FEMA, like SBA, that are set up to help. And each one of us, regardless of rising insurance costs, can benefit from those services. Right? And on the point of cost, right? Is there anything else you wanted to cover on insurance?
No, Colorado specifically, one of the other statistics I found very surprising was there's U.S. jurisdictions, right, where all the insurance companies break down areas that they cover, right?
Yep.
In all of the jurisdictions, Colorado, we talk about what's called direct loss ratio, which means I touched on it earlier, right? For every dollar taken in, they pay out $1.60. That cost is a 60% cost, whatever that looks like, right? That's a direct loss ratio. So whatever that is, almost 2/3 is their loss ratio. Colorado is 4th in the entire country for the largest loss by insurance companies. The other 3, Guess.
Florida, California, Texas,
Louisiana.
Okay, that makes sense. Louisiana
Right?
makes sense, yeah.
And what do those 3 states have in common that has been happening with insurance providers?
Higher payouts?
They've been pulling out completely.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So Allstate pulled out of California. They will not write homeowners insurance starting in January of this year.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped. Florida, same thing, right? So now what's happening is now the government has to step in and do essentially what's called an insurance of last resort.
Yep.
And
Subsidy,
they have to now
basically.
fund
Mm-hmm.
the homeowners insurance, which is great because it gives people an option, right? And Colorado's got a bill, HB 1174, if you guys want to take a look at it, where they're going to introduce that. The problem is, because it's cheaper, it then squeezes out the rest of the insurance companies,
Yep.
which now leads to a monopoly. So the good news is, well, the government's going to pay for my homeowner's insurance, but they're paying that via taxes. So in order to fund it, they have to raise what?
Taxes.
Taxes.
Which everybody does not like. Right?
Exactly. So
And-
it is a balancing act that you
Yes.
guys have to understand. So I guess the last thing I want to say is this. There's a couple things you can do in Colorado specifically to lower your risk, lower your payment. Number one, bundle. Always, always, always bundle. The more product lines you have under the same insurance company, the more willing they are to give you a discount to insure those products, right? So if there's an opportunity to bundle your home, auto, talk to Flo, right? Every goddamn commercial she's on, it's about bundling. But seriously, bundle. And I talk to people that have not bundled, which is mind-boggling
Yes.
to me. Bundle. Number two, if you're in an area of Colorado, I'm talking specifically to Colorado, one of the things people don't realize is they assume that the risk is in the mountains only because that's where the pine trees are and that's where all the fuel is. Colorado's got a really big issue with scrub oak right now. So if you're looking south and southeast and southwest of Denver, a lot of the acreage that you have has scrub oak, which is very flammable. It is very risky, and people are having a hard time insuring homes that are in those areas. So fire mitigation. If you live in Larkspur, if you live in Elizabeth, if you live in, down here in Keens Ranch, in Bell Mountain, pay companies to come in and mitigate the scrub oak around your property so that you can get an insurance break. And then the third one is you raise your deductible.
Yes.
It hurts. You got to do some math. But if you go from a $1,000 deductible to a $2,500 deductible, but you lower your monthly insurance, it could break even.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. And I mean, those
Those are the 3 things that I would suggest to people
Nice.
as we're navigating this to
And I
just
think,
at least bring
honestly,
cost,
I know you said
cost down.
Colorado specific, but honestly, those are things that I think anybody can do that's a homeowner.
Yeah, agreed.
To take
Agreed.
a little bit extra steps
Right.
to kind of figure it out, right?
I mean, hell, I look at Castle Rock alone, dude. You don't live down here. We are so windy.
Oh, no, I know. I was here for 2 years.
It's going to take one fire to just
Yes.
all of a sudden ember travels a quarter of a mile and densely populated with scrub oak.
Yes.
Dude, it's going to be a
Oh,
tinderbox.
and all around Castle Rock is just meadow. It's
Correct.
literally
So-
just dry meadow.
Yeah, just understand that there's things you can still do to bring the cost down.
Yep.
And to, hopefully if the firefighter does come to your house during a forest fire and you've mitigated correctly and all these different things, your house is more likely to stand so that, your neighbors may have to pay the cost, but you have a fully functioning structure that you can live in.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Now, we talked about, like I said, we wanted to cover 3 things. We want to talk about what you can do with FEMA, how insurance works, and the last thing that we wanted to talk about was reaching out to your mortgage provider,
Yes.
the one who holds your note, right?
Yep.
And honestly, guys, this one's not going to be as in-depth because there's really not a lot of steps or things that you have to do.
It could save you shit.
Yeah, but it could save you a lot of money, right? So the first thing is, as we talk about money and payments and costs and everything like that, obviously in a perfect world, in a beautiful world, you experience a natural disaster and you're no longer living in that residence, so you just get to stop paying your mortgage. Is that right, Jameson?
Say that one more time.
So you go through a natural disaster, your home is destroyed, you
Yeah.
can't currently live in the property, live in the dwelling. Do you get to just stop paying your mortgage?
Yeah, if you own the house free and clear,
But if you still have to make payments,
then no, you guys still make payments.
you still got to make payments. And guys, that is the most important thing that I want to emphasize is if a natural disaster occurs, it does not automatically happen where your payments stop. You are still in a contract to make your monthly payments, right? And obviously we all say, oh, well, if I can't If I work from home and my home's been destroyed, how am I going to do that? If my car was destroyed to this, how am I going to get to work? I'm going to be affected, right? Yes, absolutely, you're going to be affected. But at the end of the day, again, take the emotion out of it. It's a business. You took out a loan, you promised to make a payment, therefore you have to make the payment. But there is some reprieve from this, right? So after you've talked to FEMA, after you've reached out to your insurance, if you cannot afford to continue to make the monthly payments on your mortgage, it is as simple as reaching out to whoever supplied your mortgage, whether that be Fannie, Freddie, a private lender, and talk to them about it. Give them a call and say, hey, this is what's going on. Obviously, when it comes to natural disasters, a lot of the time they're not just going to look at you and be like, yeah, screw you, we're not helping you, right? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have already come out and continually let people know, hey, we have at least a 6-month forbearance that we can offer you.
Correct.
And basically what that means is they will allow you to put off making your payments for 6 months because they understand the financial toll that comes along with a natural disaster.
Well, not only the financial toll, but also the time frame, because at the end of the day, right, like with a replacement cost, worst case scenario, if you're underinsured, if you owned your home for more than 3 or 4 years, whatever the insurance payout's going to be is going to pay off the deed, right? But it could take 2, 3, 4 months, in which case you still have to make payments, right? So it's in conjunction with, like, the reason that this forbearance is there is to bridge the gap and say, okay, I don't have to worry about payments. Then when the insurance comes in, they're going to pay off the mortgage, whatever the balance is. So unless you're in a really shitty situation, for the most part, you should at least be able to pay off your balance, right? I guess there's very few scenarios, but like, I don't know, you buy a house and 6 months later it burns down.
This is if your home is completely gone.
Correct.
Like that's one area. Now, there's 2 things that I want to emphasize when it comes to your mortgage payments and the forbearance and them giving you time, okay? So yes, you can agree with your lender and whoever's holding your mortgage note that they will allow you to not make payments for 6 months. But the most important thing to note is that you will still accrue interest over those 6 months. So yes, you may not have to pay the amount that you're paying monthly for your mortgage, but that interest will still continue to accrue. And after those 6 months, a lot of the time, lenders and mortgage holders will request that interest and those payments in a lump sum.
Yes.
Okay? And either that means, hey, I have to come out of pocket $10,000 out of nowhere, or you might even have to take out another loan to cover that loan, right? And it comes down to it again, and we will repeat this: knowledge, know, ask questions, call, right? Because if you just call and go, hey, yeah, I'd like to defer my payments for this amount of time, and they go, yeah, sure, cool. In your mind, you are now not paying that. Correct. And that money can go towards other things, whether or not you get the insurance payment or not. In your mind, that's not money that's accruing to you, right? So when you get that bill after 6 months, you're going to go, what the hell? Because you weren't planning for it. So ask the questions, be prepared. And even though you don't have to make those payments, budget accordingly.
Correct.
Either budget as if you're still making those same payments, or budget so that you know I can make this lump sum payment at the end. And I guess what, guys? You can even ask them, hey, what am I making? What interest am I paying every month? So you can plan and know, okay, this is what I'm going to have to pay out, right?
Agreed.
And lastly, the second thing on that is when you defer, okay, just remember that if you defer, it's not hitting your credit. That's the point of deferring. That is the main point of doing a deferment. It is not hurting your credit score. But if you just flat out decide to stop paying because you can't, and all you had to do is pick up the phone and make a deferment call, you will get affected by your credit. And that 6 months that you're not paying that mortgage, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, it will hurt you in the long run.
Yep.
Like that is, please remember that. And in an economy that is based on credit, from the person level on the totem pole all the way up to the government level, interest and credit is very important to us. So please just do your due diligence, ask the right questions, and make sure you understand what your monthly payment is, how much your interest is a month, and what the potential payout will be after those 6 months.
Well, to me, and I agree with everything you just said, I immediately go to, okay, so let's say I'm going to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for my insurance to pay out. I've made the call to the IPA or the IHP. I've made a call to my insurance company. I've made a call to my mortgage company, right? In my head, if I'm doing this and I'm giving you guys recommendations, and again, I've never been in this situation, so I will never fully understand the emotion and the urgency and everything else that goes into walking up to your family home and realizing it's gone. Okay. So I sympathize and empathize with everybody that's going through that right now. But here's my analytical brain. If I get an IHP loan for $200,000,
SBA loan.
or the IHP, the permit, not
Grant.
loan,
Yeah.
the IHP just
Yes.
pay out, right?
Yes.
For $200,000, $150,000, whatever it is. And I know I have that money. Okay. Then I go to my insurance and I say, hey, my home's destroyed. And they go, okay, well, the payout's coming in 3 months. Then I follow the third step and I talk to my mortgage company. I say, hey, I need a forbearance for at least 6 months. What's the total? In my head, if I have all that information, I take the IHP and I take whatever my lump sum payment is going to be, worst case scenario, if it doesn't get paid off by then, and I put that to the side.
Yes.
Hey, New American Funding. Yeah, you're going to owe, $12,582 in 6 months as a lump sum. Awesome. IHP, you're getting $75,000. Awesome. Insurance, timeline's 3 months. We're going to get it done, get you paid out, mortgage taken care of. Cool. What I do is I take the $12,587 that New American said I'm going to owe in 6 months. I put that to the side.
Immediately.
Preferably, if it's 6 months, here's me, right? And we'll go deep. Here's me. 6 months CDA right now is like 4%. Just saying. Yeah. I take that money, I put it in a 6 month CDA. Now it's an interest bearing account. Okay.
And again, we are not financial advisors. This is just through our personal experience.
But I'm just telling you, bro, it's smart money, right? Put it in a CDA for 6 months, gains 5% on that amount of money. And then when your payment comes through, you can pull that out because it matures after 6 months. You pay it. You actually made 5% of $12,000, which isn't a ton, but it's money, something. Right? It's it's a nice steak dinner at the Famous here in Castle Rock. Or best case scenario, insurance comes through within the 6 months, pays off your loan along with the deferred payment, and now you've got $12,600 plus the interest. You can now use that for a down payment on a new house, or for shelter, or for clothing, or whatever it is. But be smart. Understand that there are things in place that are here to help, but you got to be smart. You have to understand what's at your disposal, because most people will see something happen, will make an emotional decision, and then at that point, the rest of the timeline is completely fucked because they don't know how to navigate it. Yeah. And we want to make sure you guys have those tools. So like Charlie said, through FEMA, IHP is huge. That's going to give you the chunk of money. Your insurance, the claim is very simple. Make sure that you're not underinsured so that if something does happen, you can rebuild your life with minimal cost. And then from a mortgage standpoint, understand that if you do defer because you're not living in the place that you bought, you know what that lump sum is, and then it circles all the way back to the IHP, and you can put money aside that you need to pay that off so it doesn't hit your credit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, and guys, I hope that during this episode we've given you valuable information that you can use. If you are a resident in Hawaii and we helped you in any way, it's what we wanted to do. That's why we wanted to do this topic.
I think this is probably a good time to put up this, which is essentially the links that you guys can go to donate to Hawaii, because again, being altruistic, guys, it is devastating. Like the drone photos coming out, any of the links that we see here, any of the websites that we see here, go directly to those funds to help those individuals. I saw a great, and again, I'm a realtor. Charles is a realtor, right? And we saw this. I've never been to this specific town. I've been to Maui. I love Maui. The Hawaiian people are super friendly. There's a lot of natives on that island that have never left, right? It's an island in the middle of the Pacific. Where are you going to go? And they're worried that they've already got investors calling them.
Oh no, I was literally about to, oh my God, I was
investors
literally about
calling
to mention
them to purchase land.
If you are an agent, if you are a wholesaler, if you are anybody in the real estate industry in any kind of a way, and you are picking up the phone to make an investment call right now, I'm sorry, fuck you.
Yeah. I agree.
Fuck you.
I agree.
I can't. No.
I agree.
You are the problem with our industry.
Yes.
You are the money hungry, grubby fingered people that are causing every instance of doubt and frustration in the industry. And I hope you lose
like
most of your money.
There are phone calls going to property owners in Hawaii whose houses are still smoking to say, I will buy your lot for X amount and blah, 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 blah. Fuck off.
Yes.
Seriously.
Stop.
Fuck
Just
off.
Stop.
Like, I'm sorry, short-term game, sure. You're going to be the hero that bought $1 million piece of land for $250,000, but karma will come back.
Well, and not only to mention, like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, if it happened, reunion in Colorado, cool. Like, I get it. There's opportunity there. This is sacred land.
It doesn't matter. Like, I think even if it's sacred land, if it's not sacred land, I have a problem taking advantage of people in a highly emotional state,
capitalizing on
that just lost everything.
Yes,
in a matter of hours, right? Like, whether it's Superior and people are, oh well, you're not going to rebuild, I'll buy it. Give them a fucking minute.
Yes,
like let them navigate the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And
then if they sit there and say, hey, I don't want to rebuild, I'm going to list this, then let them list it and you do it. I get it. Like, everybody's going to take advantage of every situation. I understand that's how multi-billionaires are created, but it just sits wrong with me. And then to your point, Charlie, like it takes it to a next level where you have this land that's been passed down generation to generation. It hits different. Don't fucking do it. Like,
no,
I get it. You're going to. I'm just telling you, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just don't.
No,
just don't.
I'm sorry.
Donate.
Donate.
Be a good human fucking being.
Yes.
Donate.
Exactly. I think this is a good time to move on to the one rock takeaway.
Jesus Christ. Fucking leeches.
It is. It's horrible. It's terrible. But let's reel it back in. I'm going to woosah for a second. Okay. Let's move on to our one rock takeaway for today's episode.
Fuck you.
Jameson, you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
No, I can take it. Okay. We talk about, man, what was the quote? Knowledge is the potential for action, right? So I just want to make sure you guys understand that what we're trying to do is give you the steps, but it's up to you guys to then execute those steps so that your lives, if something terrible does happen, doesn't upend everything, right? I use the example here in Colorado a month ago, the tornado that touched down on Highlands Ranch.
Yeah.
Right? I lived in Highlands Ranch. I moved there in 1999. Okay, I lived there I think my parents sold their house in 2000. I graduated in 2008, so call it 2010 probably. So that's what, 12 years, right? Never seen a tornado touch down.
I just remember how baffled you were when you were showing
I
me
was
the videos.
Fucking shocked, right? Shocked. And that is an area that is not known for tornadoes. It's happened once in the last 35 fucking years.
Yep.
And 35 years ago, Highlands Ranch was a bunch of farms, so it didn't count,
wasn't anything,
right?
Yeah.
But I look at that and I go, it can happen anywhere. And, we talk about hail damage. That's one thing, right? It's roof. It sucks. You got to pay it because if you sell your house, whatever, right? But you talk about tornadoes, wind damage, fire. Like, it can happen anywhere. So make sure you guys just take the information we talk about and utilize the resources. Put it into practice, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing. And this goes back to retail, right? We used to always have trainings and whatnot where people are like, all right, out of the 100 people here, only 10% are going to take this information and actually execute. I hope it's more for you guys, but even if it's something as simple as dialing up your insurance broker and going, hey, can you run me through what I'm insured for in my house in case something happens? You'd be shocked if they say, yeah, your rebuild value is $480,000. And you're like, well, my house is worth $800,000. We're not going to give you $800,000. Do that simple step. Like, just call your insurance agent and make sure you're not underinsured. That's my one rock takeaway. Okay. If you do nothing else, make sure you are not underinsured.
Okay. My one rock takeaway is...
Also, fuck you wholesalers and everybody else that's calling on Hawaii's land. Fuck off. Yeah. That's my other rock takeaway. My lava rock takeaway. Yes. I hope you get hit in the head by one. Fuck you.
Yeah. I agree. 100%.
Sorry.
It's a fire. It's a burning fire.
I saw that article
first video and I was
like, are you fucking kidding me?
It kills me.
Oh my God, dude.
Kills me. But my one rock takeaway for today is do not become compliant in comfort. And
complacent or compliant?
What was that?
Complacent or compliant?
Complacent. Yeah, complacent. Compliant too. But and overall, just as humans, we find comfort in ease, right?
Yep.
And exactly to what Jameson's One Rock takeaway is, taking the steps to prepare for things that you don't expect to happen will only make you more prepared when they do.
Yes.
Right? So I understand that it's a lot easier to just kind of go about your day-to-day. Hey, I have insurance. Hey, I don't need to look at my bill when I pay for these things or what it costs or save it. It will only benefit you to take the time to go out of your comfort zone just a little bit and prepare. So that's my One Rock takeaway is, as comfortable as you think that you are, as prepared as you think that you are, take it one step further and make yourself a little bit more prepared for instances like this.
You know what's funny? So I equate it this way in my weird brain. We're on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, where can they find you?
That Lifting Agent, TikTok and Instagram.
Boom. You guys can follow me, the Colorado real estate guy. We always talk about going viral.
Yeah.
Right. And the overall feeling is it only takes one video to go viral.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And that one video that you filmed, oh man, Bobby Altoff, have you watched her?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The whole Drake thing going on.
No shit. But before that, dude, she
Yeah.
went from nothing to viral, and now she's making a shit ton of money
Yes.
off of one video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You guys have to understand that the opposite is also true.
Yes.
It takes one catastrophic event that you were not anticipating, that you were not prepared for, to put you in financial ruin for a very, very long time. So heed Charlie's words when he says, just go out of your comfort zone. And when we say go out of your comfort zone, I literally mean pick up the phone and fucking call your insurance agent.
Just ask a question.
And ask a question.
Just ask a question.
That's it. That's all it is, right? But that one phone call, that one conversation could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when we look at, and we talked about it last week or the week before, the average household has $5,300 in their checking account. If you take a $500,000 hit, what happens?
You're in
Generationally, you're in a bind.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
understand that it takes one event, good or bad, to just change the entire fortune of your life financially, social, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But just be prepared. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think this is a wonderful time to move into the bourbon review.
How does it work, my friend?
We do our ratings on a scale of 1 to 10. The lower the number, the better the bourbon, because the less water or rocks that you have to put into a bourbon, usually,
which by the way, dude, sad story.
the better the bourbon is.
My LG refrigerator that produces the ice balls that I
Oh,
use for
no.
my whiskey, it broke.
Oh, no.
It broke.
Time to move on to whiskey stones, my man.
It's out of the warranty period.
Oh, by what? 6 months?
No, it's like 2 years.
Okay, I was
But
gonna say
I've
it's
had,
usually
that, I've
how it
had that
works.
fridge since I moved in. But yeah, I did it, and I had to have like a hair dryer, because what happens apparently, and anybody that uses LG refrigerator, the ice balls will come through, right? But then after like every, I don't know, call it 4 months, condensation happens and it starts to freeze, so it gets them stuck. Once it gets them stuck,
It just builds
you're
up.
fucked. The only way to do it is let it melt. So I don't want to leave my freezer open for 48 hours, right?
Damn.
So what I have to do is I put a blow dryer in there and I prop it up. And then what ended up happening was as I'm pulling it out, that little plastic piece popped off.
Oh, no.
So we're going to find out tonight if it still works. But now I'm old school. Like I got to have the ice molds and shit.
Yeah.
First world problems, but it's real sad. So,
Well, bourbon problems.
yeah, bourbon problems. Real sad. Real sad. Tear.
First off, man, I was very pleasantly surprised. This is even now. I did the rare second pour, and I will say we talked about
Your
this.
rare second pour is getting less rare. Just throwing it out there.
Hey, times are
Okay,
hard, man.
yeah.
Times are hard, but
It's like going from what is it? A endangered species to a protected
Yeah,
species.
exactly.
You move from
Exactly.
endangered to just protected. Pretty soon you're going to be the
Second pour was
bald
a little-
eagle, and people are writing articles
Second
of
pour
like,
was a little bit lower. It was a little bit lower, but I gotta have bourbon for the review,
bro,
man.
I get it. I'm not down. I'm just saying.
You're right.
You're not an endangered species. You're protected now.
We've had some good bourbons.
yes.
We've had some good
We
bourbons.
have. Yes.
Honestly, man, like even, and this is something that we haven't talked about a lot, is the feeling of the bourbon, right?
Okay.
Like after you drink it,
Yeah.
how your head feels, how you
Yep.
feel, what the effect is, the buzz, whatever you want to call it, right? This has been pleasantly smooth from the beginning to the end.
Yes, agreed.
And that is flavor, that is pour, and its overall feeling. Like I don't feel clouded
No.
I don't feel like it's sluggish in
Yep,
any kind of a
agreed.
way. It's clean.
It is.
It's overall, like, I can definitely see me enjoying this with a multitude of people, whether they drink bourbon or not, and us leaving not hating ourselves afterwards.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and the flavor profile for sure. The complexity of this bourbon being a blindfold bourbon, I'm very pleasantly surprised. And even now, it's a lot of bourbons you get that sit on your tongue is a little bit more brash and or like.
I love that you said that.
Right,
Continue.
like
Continue.
it's harsh, right?
Yep.
But this one, smooth. Like I can almost like run my tongue over the roof of my mouth, and I still get the flavor from it. And it's a sweetness, it's a caramel. Like when I think of bourbon flavor, this is what I think of.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was $40.
$40. This is just, and again, America. Thank you for developing and having such a marketplace for bourbon that one, we could do the show, but two, we can taste the differences and see the differences between them. And I don't know, man. I'm gonna let you give the number before I do.
Okay. So here's what I agree with everything you said. I know I have a good bourbon if the taste left on the tongue after a sip makes me want to have, like, excited for the next one.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you said it. You're like, well, it's not like, what'd you say? It's not harsh.
Yeah, it's not dry.
It's not dry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you drink it, swallow it, and then the taste on the tongue is like, you know what? I want another sip because I'm excited for that same flavor profile.
I would make a buttload of cocktails with this bourbon.
I think it would literally go with everything.
Yes.
It would.
Absolutely.
And I think for that purpose, I'm going to rate this one probably higher than maybe you're expecting, because I look at it and I go, okay, can I have it neat? 100%. You open this up with an ice cube, whew, it's going to be drinkable to anybody.
Yes.
Right? So I think that's and I like introducing bourbon to people.
Yeah.
So something that's very easily done. If I want a Manhattan, would be good. I think this would be fantastic in a Sazerac.
Yes.
With some absinthe, an absinthe rinse glass with an orange peel would be fucking phenomenal.
And for Oscar, I think that this is one of our top 3 old-fashioned bourbons that we've had.
Dude, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go high. 2.5.
Yeah?
Yep.
See, that I was going to go with 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2.5. I just think if you look at the cost,
the flavor, like,
and the I don't want to say flexibility, but the
usability.
Yeah, dude. Like it's just it has range. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
pleasant surprise.
It has range. It's like the Ariana Grande of whiskeys. You know what I'm saying? Like you ever see her on the Tonight Show where she impersonates
others? Yes.
Right?
The
like
Ariana Grande of bourbons.
I'm saying it is.
That's a way to put it.
We went to we were down in the Springs this weekend and went to this little speakeasy underneath another bar, and I had a Sazerac, right? And they did it with Bullet, which was interesting, right? And I'm
very
a Bullet
interesting.
fan,
Bullet's
not rye, just Bullet.
Okay. But the heat on a Bullet.
I know, dude, and it was good, but it wasn't great. I had another one at a Louisiana bar with Angel's Envy, better. Okay, higher quality whiskeys, aged 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
But I just keep going back to the fact that I guess my sticking point is I expect this type of complexity from at least a 6 or 8 year aged bourbon, not a 3-year aged bourbon,
and a $60+ bourbon, not
correct.
So
that's why I gotta go 2.5.
That is, this is a sleeper cell.
Yep.
This is hands down. If you guys are looking for a bourbon to bring to a party to enjoy during the summer,
even off
winter,
the website,
anything.
like direct off the website, it's $49.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
So yeah,
100%.
It's sleeper cell.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
I can't not.
No, that phenomenal for a blindfold bourbon. Phenomenal. You're doing good, man,
dude.
You got the eye. I'll tell you. This is what, 3 out of 3 now. You've grabbed a random.
Yeah.
And you killed it.
Yeah. So I go 2.5. You're gonna go 3.
I'm gonna go 3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 3 for sure. This is Oh, we got to do that blind taste test now.
I know, dude.
We got to do it. We got to do it.
know.
But everybody, thank you so much. I know it was a little bit longer, but we gave you as much information as we can.
And it's important. It's your financial future.
Exactly.
We want to make sure you guys understand.
And not only that, this is people's lives
exactly
that are involved. So we went a little bit long, but we feel like we gave you a good amount of information that you can break down. You can reach out. We're going to put all every link, everything in the description on the screen that you can kind of follow and make sure that you know and have the right resources. But don't forget, guys, you can reach out to us at resotr@themilehighperspective.com or give us a ring.
303-578-0263 goes to both of our phone numbers. Feel free to reach out to us, guys. If you're listening, give us a rating. Let us know how we're doing. And I just, in closing, I just want to say this, right? As realtors who we deal in real property on a daily basis, my heart goes out to anybody. I know Hawaii is the headline now. Yeah. Anybody that's been involved in a natural disaster that has resulted in them losing their homes, I feel for you.
Yes.
I understand the pain, the heartache, the difficulty of navigating that space. If there's ever a time that you guys are watching this and you have it's you or a friend or a family member, whoever has experienced it and they want to reach out to somebody, even if I'm not in the same state or Charlie's not in the same state, we will find resources for you guys. That is our entire job. We take pride in putting people in homes. Yep. That's what we love to do.
And if you took the opportunity to make the biggest single investment that
we
you're
want to
make
make sure that we're there for you guys. So just don't hesitate to reach out and understand that yes, we're in this industry. We have to make money. It's a capitalist society. That's what we do, right? We sell houses to make commission, but I also am there for anybody that's experienced that kind of hardship. Charlie, I speak for him, I know, but the exact same thing. Yep. If you guys need resources, information, advice, pointing in the right direction, please do not hesitate to reach out. It's heartbreaking what we're seeing, and we want to make sure that you guys have, the information needed to, at least start to navigate that. Yep. So
guys, we got some awesome things coming for you. Stay tuned on the channel. Comment, like, subscribe as always. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Cheers.
Appreciate it, guys.
Later.